Creative Tech Podcast. Hi, I'm Kaori Ray, product designer and author. Our mission is to help people in their career and lives by sharing their creative and technology stories. Okay, let's get started.
Okay. Hi.
Hi, Masa.
Hello.
Thank you so much for attending this interview today.
No, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so we met at Takeoff Tokyo. No, when we met the first time.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
So we did a community manager meetup event. I go to a lot of events as a community manager. I go to a lot of other events, a lot of community events, and being able to talk with other community managers, organizers, people that are looking to do more with the people that use their products, the people that use their services. A lot of the times I get people are like, oh, I wanna know what other communities are doing. I want to know what other event managers are doing. It would be cool to be able to talk to them. And so through that feedback, we decided, oh, let's try to do this event to bring all these community management type of people together.
I see. It was a good event, and me and Ayame-chan, we became a big fan of you because thanks to him, he helped us to organize, what can I say, affinity mapping, right? Anyway, so Masa-san, please imagine there are many audience for you. Yeah, so could you please tell us about what do you do, your name, and what do you do in Tokyo?
Okay, so my name is Masa. Full name is Masakazu Tanahashi, but call me Masa. Right now I'm working as a community manager for a startup called Selective. We are an HR tech startup, so we have a platform for freelancers. One side of it is helping freelancers match with companies, and then the other side of it is actually providing tools for freelancers to kind of get through their business needs. And so as part of that, I am managing a community of freelancers, the people that use our products, the people that use our services, the people that are interested in freelancing as a concept in Japan, because it is very different here, I think, compared to maybe other places like the US.
I see. Interesting. So, and then, so Selective is this company is for only foreigners who work at Japan.
No, we actually have a good mix of just all sorts of people. Our target demographic is more on the domestic side in Japan, but mainly because a lot of the companies that want to look for talent on our platform are Japanese companies, just because we're in Japan.
Yeah.
But that being said, we have a lot of people that's within our talent pool, within our community that is multicultural, multilingual, a lot of people that speak English and Japanese.
I see. Interesting. And then, so when did you join Selective?
I joined almost a year ago, so not too long. I joined in the team in June of 2023.
I see. So, if I remember correctly, you are also a solo creator, aren't you?
Yeah. So before I joined Selective as a community manager, I was working full-time freelance as a video and photo content creator. Mainly working with small, medium businesses and startups, a lot of individuals to create content for their brands. Some photo work, mostly on the video side though.
I see. Yeah, so videographers' work is super important for especially the company who has good brand, because nowadays YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, they really need to have professional videos, right? So maybe a decade ago, I don't know YouTube exists, but maybe making kind of a music video or video, a long video, kind of a TV show, and then company can show their product or service to attract potential customer. But nowadays, not only YouTube, many platforms. So as a videographer, so requirements are more higher compared to long ago. What do you think?
That's an interesting question. Like you said, YouTube. I think it's been around for 10 years now. No, it definitely has been around for 10 years now. But YouTube itself is not. It's not very old, right? We feel like it's been a part of our lives for a long while now, but it's fairly new. Same thing with like TikTok. So TikTok really exploded, especially in Japan, around the COVID time. So and that was only around 4 years ago.
Wow.
So it's videos evolved a lot in the past, like even 5 years. And like you said, the needs and how companies and how brands use video has changed enormously. Like before, it used to be a lot more commercials and TV only. Now it's a lot more streaming services and people just internet things, so social media content, etc. So when I started freelancing and kind of working with different clients for my video projects, I started full-time freelancing right when COVID happened.
Ah, really?
Yeah. So I left my job before that, 2020 in February, and then COVID happened February in 2020. So it was poorly timed, but it wasn't. It was what it was. But at the time, there was a lot more people focused on whether it's longer form video content or creating small like Instagram, social media type of things. As we saw more of like Reels and TikTok kind of started to come into play.
I see. So when you work with bunch of companies, you had to make videos, but like the same videos, but you had to make each platform. Did you make and did you deliver?
Yeah, so I focus mostly on YouTube and web. And so what I mean by that is videos that can be used on people's websites, whether it's to just maybe you've seen on, I don't know if Takeoff Tokyo does it, but maybe you've seen on other kind of platforms or other websites where there's just an auto playing video in the background, just showing like a highlight reel, like what that company's been doing or what their product is. I would make videos like that. I'd also make videos that were more to focus on the people around the brand. So kind of like half user interviews in a little bit more of a cinematic style is what it was called back then. Just kind of a little bit more brushed up, and so it feels a little bit more documentary-like, but with a modern taste to it. And so I didn't do too many of the short form videos, but what we would do is we'd just take our YouTube videos and then create micro content out of it, so that create little snippets, little cutouts that we can use for Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, etc.
I see. Interesting. So, nowadays, many people want to be a creator, video creator. So when did you start to make videos? Since you were little or like in COVID time?
So I originally, how do I explain this? I bought a camera when I was still living in the US.
It was
and that, so
2000.
I came to Japan in 2017. And I think I bought my camera not long before that. So when I was in the US, I used to like modifying my car. And part of that was going to different shows and just seeing other people's cars and taking photos for inspiration. And so that's why I bought my first camera.
You said a car?
Car, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You can fix car.
Fix is a very specific word. I would mess with it and just do stuff. And if it didn't work, I had friends to help me actually fix it.
Amazing. You're a super handy person.
Yeah, so but that's just from learning stuff on the internet. And I also had friends that had some of the tools I could use and whatnot. So, yeah, I had a good support system, I guess. But it's an expensive hobby, so it's whatever. But anyway, so I was taking photos of other people's cars. Then when I moved to Japan, I wasn't expecting to use my camera. But a person that I was working with when I first arrived, he liked to take photos. So we learned how, like, where places were in Tokyo by going around and doing street photography as we would explore Tokyo for the first time. And so taking photos, walk around basically. He also liked to make very short video stories, I guess, or like quick like comedy sketches and things like that. And I did not want anything to do with it. I didn't care. I didn't want to do it. Its video seems like a lot of work. Eventually, he went back to Canada, but I guess I don't know if it's just because I miss hanging out and doing stuff with him, or what it was. But I wanted to kind of try video myself, and so I started doing after he left, and it was just me. I started doing my own thing. Made a couple other friends that were interested in creating content. That was when the big like YouTube content creator boom was starting to happen, where I think Casey Neistat was doing his daily vlogs, or a little bit after that, and yeah. So, but because of that, I wanted to do a little bit more on my own. Started making my own videos, posting things on YouTube, and then eventually that just turned into work.
Interesting, amazing, cool. And then, if I remember correctly, Masa, you born and raised in New York. Wow, you're a New York boy.
It's New York State, so not quite New York City. We're an hour-ish north of New York City. But yeah, I was born and raised in the U.S. And then was in New York for most of my life. Moved to the Boston area for a couple of years, and then came here.
I see. Okay, and then what kind of a child were you?
That's a good question.
Yes.
A
DIY,
normal
always
one.
making something.
I mean, I like to play outside. I like to tinker with things. I didn't really I was not bad at schoolwork, but I didn't care for it. I just wanted to play. So like my first, and even through now, it's like, what can I do to make sure I'm just having fun? And so yeah, I don't really remember too much of like being a kid except just playing around outside. Yeah.
I see. And then, so you went to school in Boston, like a college or?
School was still in New York. I went to a state university called Binghamton in New York, which is like, it's like 4 hours-ish from New York City. It's in like the northwestern side of New York. Graduated there, stayed around in my, like near my hometown for a little bit. Started to, just to go through everything, started working with kids. I was doing summer camps at the time anyway, so I wanted to work more with kids, worked at a daycare for a little bit. Then was recommended by someone that I used to work with at the summer camp that maybe I should be a teacher. So I tried to do that, was working in the New York schools for a very short time. Decided it was not for me.
Oh, really?
Left, was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and then eventually I found a full-time and year-long summer camp type of program in Boston. And so moved to Boston in 2015, I think. I think 2015 or 2014. Was there for around 2 years before I came to Japan.
Okay, interesting. So, what made you, what can I say, like, I'm so interested in about like child education, or like more focusing on summer camp experience, because kind of a super, what can I say, niche, but so important job, because thanks to summer camp, little children, little kids, I miss mama, but like after 2 months, like more like
they
human,
grow up fast.
right?
So the summer camp that I started was called Brayside Camp in Middletown, New York. And people that know the area in New York, it's not a very safe place. The Orange County in New York is known for being very like underprivileged. A lot of families in situations that, in unfortunate situations. So a lot of the kids that we worked with were homeless. One or both parents are in jail, dead, or missing. Most of the kids just live around drug and crime, and things like that. So I would hear stories about like 6-year-olds. Their job at home was when someone knocks on the door or rings the doorbell, they hide with a gun in their hand just in case something happens. Or like they're told by their parents, like, okay, flush this, this, and this down the toilet if it's, you know, these people. So it's that kind of environment. Before going into it, I didn't want to do anything with kids. I just happened to find the job on Craigslist, and it was
Really?
I didn't want anything. My mom was like, you need a job during the summer, and so I found one, went there, and I didn't think I would like it, but it really changed how I look at things in life. But it's an overnight camp. So a lot of these kids, we had everyone from 5 to 13 years old. Kids would come in, they hate it, they don't want to be there. Especially the 5-year-olds, they miss their parent, they want to go home, but they're there for 2 weeks long overnight. And after a little bit, they really start to understand like, oh, it's a safe place, which they're not used to. And then being able to like be a kid and like have fun and play and just kind of seeing the change that a human being can make in 2 weeks, and like how much people can really open up and change how they see the world and see how they like make relationships was really like powerful. It was really something that I enjoyed, and I wanted to be able to help more with that. So I started I think I worked at that summer camp for like 7 years, just every summer going back as much as I could. And while I worked at super rich kids camps before. The other camp that I worked at in the Boston area was a very different camp as well. It was not underprivileged kids, but it was a lot of the kids that came had trouble connecting with like more of their typical peers. A lot of the kids were homeschooled. A lot of the kids had very specific interests. They were very nerdy, and the program that we had let them kind of explore themselves through role play. And so it was a very different kind of style, but just I really enjoyed working with kids and helping them to grow in whatever way made sense for them at the time.
I see. Yeah, it's like what can I say? Super team building. Yeah, you can observe 0 to like 100.
Yeah,
right?
It's cool.
Yeah, amazing.
Especially with like the staff as well. A lot of the staff that we had at the camp in Middletown, they grew up in the same environment that the kids were coming in. So they knew, they lived it. And a lot of the staff only come for a year, and then same thing. They either go to jail, they go missing, they're dead, etc. But kind of being able to work with them and seeing how lucky I am too. But also being able to, so I was there long enough where I was in more of a leadership position for the majority of the time, in the later years. And so being able to kind of help mentor them in terms of like professionalism, working with kids, things like that was fun too.
I see. So if you can pick 1 or 2 things about what can I say, most important things, what you learned from 7 years, like like camping with children. What's the things do you pick? Most important things.
One is that I think communication is not just language, is something that I learned there. Whenever, like if we're speaking to each other, we're using words, right? But it's not just words that convey our thoughts and what we want to tell the other person. Sometimes it's gestures, sometimes it's like physical movements, like facial expressions, and other times it's something else that is not like you can't see it. It's very hard to explain. Just watching some of these kids communicate with each other, they did, even if there was a complete language barrier, even if they didn't have the right words, even if they grew up in different cultural environments, being able to seeing how they work together was very interesting. And then kind of seeing that, so that's 6-year-olds.
Yeah, super.
Yeah. But then seeing that kind of coming to Japan and seeing the different language barriers. There's so many different people here from Japan, America, everywhere in Europe, Africa, Asia, right? There's people from all over in Tokyo, and like all in one little packed city. Being able to see how everyone is kind of communicating and still being able to work together, despite all the different barriers, is very interesting. A second thing is that the first week that I started working there, before the kids came, when we had our training, one of the people that was, I don't remember his position at the time, but he was one of the leaders in the camp. He was from Sri Lanka. And he dropped his camera in the river that we were hiking near. And I remember him saying like, no, it's okay, it's just money. And which was very interesting to me because I feel like in the US, we don't really talk about money too much, in whether it's at least in my household or in schools or anything. And being able to, and hearing like, oh, it's just money. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's just money. Like, no one got hurt. This isn't something that's going to destroy our experience. It doesn't affect our future at all. It's just money. We can always replace it. It was kind of a very interesting little phrase, I guess, that happened then. And then seeing all the kids come in from families with no money, and being able to see like how they grow as individuals, how they are able to have fun, how they have, can enjoy things without really worrying about money, was a very interesting kind of thing for me.
I see. Yeah, like you are right. So maybe this Sri Lanka person, he knew, what can I say, his life priority. Of course, expensive camera is important for him, but maybe he understood like camera is not high.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You can always buy a new one.
yeah. It's great lesson. Thank you so much for listening our Creative Tech podcast today. We hope our story to help your career and life. See you soon. Bye bye.